must turn to the issue of gun violence in America today, because the latest mass shootings in Aurora, Colorado, and Newtown, Connecticut leave us all, liberal and conservative, Republican and Democrat, appalled and disgusted at the carnage. Now, some people, and that includes many of you in this room tonight, want to place the blame for this horror on things like 30-round magazines or semi-automatic rifles. We want to blame something, anything that we can control. But what we really want to ban is violence and murder.
Every year in the U.S., an average of more than 100,000 people are shot. The shooting that occurred in Newtown, Connecticut is a tragedy that opened up the eyes of many individuals regarding gun control. This is only one of the many shootings that have occurred in the United States. During the year of 2012, a total of 16 deadly mass shootings occurred. Because of these happenings, individuals throughout the United States, including President Obama, are putting forth a proposal for increased gun control.
My belief is that, A, we have to enforce the laws we've already got, make sure that we're keeping guns out of the hands of criminals, those who are mentally ill. We've done a much better job in terms of background checks, but we've got more to do when it comes to enforcement. But I also share your belief that weapons that were designed for soldiers in war theaters don't belong on our streets. And so what I'm trying to do is to get a broader conversation about how do we reduce the violence generally. Part of it is seeing if we can get an assault weapons ban reintroduced, but part of it is also looking at other sources of the violence. Because frankly, in my hometown of Chicago, there's an awful lot of violence, and they're not using AK-47s, they're using cheap handguns. And so what can we do to intervene to make sure that young people have opportunity, that our schools are working, that if there's violence on the streets, that working with faith groups and law enforcement, we can catch it before it gets out of control. And so what I want is a comprehensive strategy. Part of it is seeing if we can get automatic weapons that kill folks in amazing numbers out of the hands of criminals and the mentally ill. But part of it is also going deeper and seeing if we can get into these communities and making sure we catch violent impulses before they occur.
As stated in the Constitution, the Second Amendment clearly says, a well-regulated militia being necessary to the security of a free state, the right of the people to keep and bear arms shall not be infringed. The use of the word militia seems to create a confusion in current times. According to Cornell University Law School, some scholars argue that a well-regulated militia was intended to defend a state's rights to self-defense. However, the phrase, the right of the people to keep and bear arms, leads some to believe that this is an individual constitutional right for all citizens of the United States. Along with the topic of gun control comes a spectrum of thoughts and opinions. Should all individuals be entitled to own a gun, or should regulations be enforced to limit access?
I used to completely believe in the protection of the Second Amendment because I know that there is a big concern in our, in any democracy that if the weapons are only in the hands of those who have positions of authority, like the police and the military, then it's a kind of a dangerous situation. If the people were to want to uprise, they would not be able to. However, with recent, events having happened in our country with people just going absolutely insane with guns, I do believe that we need to have some form of control, be it limiting, major machine guns with huge magazine rounds. I don't see the need for the average citizen to have military-grade weapons.
Well, I believe it's a right to be able to bear arms, but I don't believe assault weapons should be included on that list, and I think there should be a background check and a cooling off period before someone's able to buy a gun.
I've profiled so many fugitives on America's Most Wanted that were on parole or probation. A guy that we caught several years ago, Joseph Duncan, who is a suspect in 4 murders of children, an entire family to get at a kid, to kidnap their 8-year-old daughter and 9-year-old son, released and was able to get a gun every time. He violated his probation, parole, sex offender registry, but he was able to get guns and murder children with those guns, and after he abducted them. And he had a long history of of violent pedophilia. And psychiatrists said at each one of his parole hearings, this guy is a health risk to society. He should never be released back into the public. So there are so many people that are walking around there that have serious mental problems, that have availability to guns. 8 states don't report to any type of registry whatsoever about people that are violently ill.
Right, and when you hear that 40% of all gun sales in America are done without any kind of background check, I find that the most terrifying fact of all, because that is a huge amount of firepower that is crisscrossing around America, whether at the gun shows or in other ways, hand to hand, going into the hands of people that we have absolutely no accountability for.
Some states it's high as 60%. And you look at crime after crime. You and I talked about Columbine. A girl, one of the boys gets a MAC-10 pistol the day before, just pays cash for it and all the bullets for it. And these 2 boys go to a gun show. They're not old enough. They're dressed in their trench coats. And they take a little groupie friend of theirs, a girl, who says, let's buy this, let's buy this, let's buy the ammo. No one ever asks them. They go, are you 18? It's against the law in Colorado to own a gun if you're under 18, to buy a gun. And she goes, I'm the one. Here's my driver's license. No background checks. Nobody asks them, what are you going to do for that? And next day they shoot 39 people. It's insane. And I am a responsible gun owner.
Yeah.
I go on, since I saw you the last time, I had 1 day off in a month, and I went quail hunting. And I asked the guys that I was quail hunting with, including the guide, I said, would you have any problem with background checks? And they said, absolutely not. Responsible gun owners should go through responsible background checks.
My views regarding gun control is they're already sufficient enough. Our right to bear arms is solidified in the Constitution, and there's no reason to impose more restrictions on gun control. People that are creating crimes or committing crimes by using these guns are not the people that are going to abide by the laws or more laws that we pass about gun control. There's no reason for it.
Our group believes in those that side with pro-gun control. We believe in the Second Amendment and that people should be able to own a gun, but there should be regulations placed on it. In modern-day America, it is common for a U.S. family to own a gun, as 40% of America's population does. However, the lack of gun control regulations has led to reoccurrences of gun shootings and accidents and crime, so we think that gun control would help reduce that.
One time, my brother got shot by a gun, and he even still has a bullet in him, and he got medevaced and almost died. Medevac, that's when you're at a hospital that can't treat you, so they have to helicopter you to another bigger hospital.
I won't let anyone in our house have a gun, even though I think other people have a right to have a gun. I just know of too many accidents, and my great-grandfather accidentally killed my great-grandmother cleaning his gun that he thought was empty, and it wasn't. It was loaded. Was it really an accident? Did he really want to kill his wife? We'll never know, but if he didn't have a gun, it couldn't have happened.
Is it necessary that gun regulations should be enforced, or should all individuals be entitled to own a gun? This was a question that we proposed and hopefully have better informed you about. Whether your opinions fall with those who are pro-gun or anti-gun, the topic of gun control is a serious issue that needs to be monitored based on the information we have gathered. We predict that gun regulations will continue to increase slightly, and the battle between pro-gun and anti-gun activists will be never-ending.
Even if the sky is falling down, I know that